Good day everyone, it's Caitlin. Today we are talking about how to plan out a historic wardrobe and going over all the fabric that I have saved for a maternity wardrobe. Hello and welcome. Let's talk about planning a wardrobe featuring my maternity wardrobe, which by the way, I'm still not pregnant. This is not an announcement. This is me being crazy and liking to plan things and making sure that the fabric that I'm going to eventually need for maternity doesn't get allocated to other projects, basically. Anyway, let's talk about how to plan a wardrobe. So how I do it, which I find to be a very efficient way, is first I have to think about the time periods that I do. Now I do a lot of different time periods. Someone else may only do one or two. It varies by the person. I do basically 1814 to about 1940s. I don't do every time period in between there. I do very little 1840s. I do nothing past 1883 up until World War I, basically. So I don't do all those time periods, but I do several. But I do a lot. So what I do first is separate things by time frame. These are time frames where the clothes are basically similar enough to where you can make a dress that would work for all those eras. So like 1829 to 1836. Yes, fashion changes. Yes, some of the clothing styles go in and out of fashion. Yes, some things are different. But you can make a dress in a particular style that will work for that whole time frame. And so that would be a time frame for me. 1855 to about 1863. You can make dresses that will work for that time frame. You can make that work. And so what I do first is map out my time frames of all the years that I do, and I put them into those little sections of this. I can make this one outfit. And my next step is to decide what social class I'm doing. Now I'm crazy, I do several. So I will do everything from super poor up until, a more leisurely class. So if my years are headings on my little planning document, the social class are subheadings. Now you may be fortunate you only do one, and that's fine. You don't have to do the subheading of class if you're not doing multiple classes. I'm doing multiple classes, I had to have subheadings. After you have your lovely little subheadings, or if you don't need them, then that's great, decide how many outfits you're going to actually need. My general rule is one to wear plus a spare. So I don't like being at an event and only having one dress, because if something happens, I'm stuck without clothing. I've had too many instances where I have ripped out skirts on low-hanging doorknobs, or spilled ink all over the front of my brand new silk dress. There are stories. There are so many stories. And because of the stories, I'm slightly paranoid. So one to wear plus a spare is my rule. Now, if you're planning a wardrobe from scratch, you're going to need to go into each of the underpinnings and decide how many chemises you're going to need, how many drawers, how many corsets. All that can be differentiated. Fortunately, because I'm planning a maternity wardrobe, it's a little bit different. Chemises are super baggy. I won't need to make any extra. I can just wear the ones I already have. Corsets I'm going to need to change. I'm going to need maternity corsets. Petticoats, I've decided I'm going to put ties on them temporarily and have a little gap in the back if that's what it takes, and wear my petticoats so I don't have to make any others. That leaves clothing, and maternity things are a little bit different, so I'm going to need some more clothes. Some of them I don't have to make, I can use what I already have, and others I'm going to need to make some more clothing. So after your subheading of classes, you put little bullet points onto how many outfits you need. If you're doing a whole wardrobe from like chemise, down over to dresses, you might want to do a subheading of chemises and write down how many you need, and I need a corset, okay, I need this many drawers, I need this many petticoats. If you're doing a kid's wardrobe, it'll be the same thing. How many shirts does this baby need? How many stays? How many petticoats? How many dresses? All of that. Now, I'm just stopping at the subheading of class. And underneath that, I'm just going to put the 2 bullet points that I need for one for each outfit. And here, I'll just put on the side a little quick scrolly up of my document of how I do this for the maternity wardrobe specifically. I also have one for kids' clothes, and I'll scroll up on that one too. There's 19th century, and then there's 20th century. And yes, I color code everything, and the colors all mean different things, and each document is slightly different. In general, black means that it's done and we're good, and we don't need it anymore. It's completed. It's a completed project. Green typically means I have all the supplies, and I can make it whenever I feel up to it. Orange typically means that I need to go get fabric. Orange and red kind of vary. Usually mean I need to buy something before I get to that project. So without further ado, let's talk about what kind of clothing I'm going to make for my maternity wardrobe. So if Regency is the first time period I do, I only do it once a year. I've only done that event once, so I don't know if we're going to do it again, but I'm going to go ahead and prep for it just in case. I'm going to need a new corset. I actually don't have a Regency corset at all. I've been using my 1820s corset, so this is needed anyway. And I found an original that laces up the front, and it has adjustable cups, like they're super gathered, and so they will expand whether I'm nursing or just pregnant, and things change. And I'm going to make it a little bit longer. I'm going to put lacing at the sides to make sure I can expand for a growing belly. As far as clothing goes, for lower class, I don't have the thing here, it's in storage, but here's the extra fabric. We made a short gown and petticoat sometime last year with this as a short gown and then a brown wool petticoat, and I will try to link all the videos like right here for you. However, YouTube doesn't like me to do any more than 5 links up there, so I'm going to have to put the rest of them down below. So if you're looking for a video and I mention it and it's not up there, look in the description. So I will already have that is done. I purposely made that to maternity, so I already have that done. I'm going to make a second short gown. I have a white and pink striped cotton. That'll be perfect for it. I actually have 2 links of it. So one's going to be an 18 teens short gown. And that's going to be my 2 outfits. The 2 short gowns and then the petticoat underneath. For lower class. For upper class, I already have that green wool that we made together, and it's super adjustable. It has a drawstring, waist, which is up here for Regency, and a drawstring neckline. And I'm going to make the same style dress, and I'm going to do that in a cotton print. I don't have it yet. I just know exactly what I'm getting because it's the Jane Austen series, so it's a great Regency print, and it's going to be lovely. Next major time frame would be the 1827 to about 1836. And for a lower class, I'm going to use my 1820s wrapper as one of my outfits, because wrappers are super fantastic and they are usually very expandable. So that one just ties around the waist and it's super big. So that's going to be a great maternity dress. My second dress is I found an original that's basically like the short gown. It's basically like the Regency green dress, except for the waist is longer, and it's very clearly a later 20s style. So I thought that'd be a good one for maternity too. I want to try that style out. I don't have fabric for that yet, but I'm thinking a nice wool. Probably not in green because most of my wool dresses are green. So I'm thinking something different would be a good thing. And that'll be the lower class dresses. For upper class 1830s, I have my pink wrapper that we made on the channel that's completely hand sewn, as is all my stuff prior to 1850. And that's a really nice, pretty wrapper that'll work great for maternity wear. And then for the dress, I think I still have it. Yes. I have this. This is a plaid linen. It is gorgeous. It's so hard to find cheap linen that's not solid. And so when I came across this for 8 yards, I bought like 20 yards of it. I'm going to make a crossover style bodice. And these are super nice because there's basically, hooks and eyes here and hooks and eyes here, and you cross the bodice over. So I can expand it as my belly gets bigger. So that would be a great adjustable style dress for the 1830s. Moving on to the mid-19th century, so the 1850s and 60s, I'm going to need a new corset. So I'm looking at some originals. I'm going to copy one of those. Again, side gussets with the lacing here so that it can expand back and forth. Looking into something I can also use postpartum for nursing. I think it'd be easy to get access for that. So we'll see how that goes. I'll look at some originals and figure out what design I want to do. For outfits, for fancy, I bought this very nice, very light quality. It's thinner than quilting cotton. Solid wool. This is what wool was like in the 19th century. It is so nice and light and airy and soft and smooth. Period style wools are fantastic. They are not scratchy. They are not itchy. They are not heavy and gross. They are lovely. So I have, I think, 2 links to this wool actually. But it's this beautiful plaid. And I'm going to make what's called a sack and petticoat. And these are basically garments that were either maternity, a lot of times. They were kind of like in the morning undress. So like getting your chores done, working in the house. And there are nicer ones that are meant for maternity and that sort of thing as well. And it's basically just a skirt, and the top is, it's basically like a regular top, but it's really full down here and it's just left full. So that's what this is going to be. We're going to do bishop sleeves, so it'll work for 1850s all the way up to the 1860s. And then also for the 1850s, I will have a wrapper. I have that blue wrapper that we made on the channel, that's a little bit more early 1850s, late 1840s style. Got from a book. It's fantastic. It's a giant, baggy dress, and it has this belt that, laces in the front, and then it makes it look like a traditional fan foot bodice, and it's fantastic. Got the style from the book, and it's a great 40s and 50s look. So I have that for fancy 50s. For fancy 60s, I'm going to be making a wrapper. But I have this. Yes, it's cotton. We're pretend it's wool, because this is a much more normal color and style for wool than it would be for cotton. And to be quite frank, it lays, and it's the exact same, drape as the wool. So I can play that this is wool. And then I have this for decoration. Isn't that pretty? It's going to make a great wrapper. So that's going to be my fancy 1860s stuff, is this plus the second petticoat. And then for 1850s, I'll have the wrapper in the second petticoat. Now for a lower class 1850s, I have the serpentine grain wrapper, which is, again, it's fitted back, very loose front, and has belt that ties. Great for maternity. I also will make a petticoat out of this plaid. This is also a wool, and it's brown. And it's super light and drapey and almost see-through, and it feels amazing, like butter. Wool's amazing. So I'll make that, and then I have some indigo linen that I'm going to make as a sack. So it'll be another sack of petticoat, just not the same color. And that one will have funnel C, so it will be more 1850s. Now for 1860s working wear, I'm going to use the same petticoat, but I'm going to use more of that pink stripe that I'm using for the Regency short gown, the other one. And I'm going to make a coat sleeved sack out of that, and with the same skirt. So those will be my 1850s and 60s stuff. So using the same skirt for lower class, but then different tops based on the sleeves. Now for the 1880s. I'm kind of skipping the 1870s right now because I don't do a lot of that. A lot of that's on my own. I only do 1870s at one particular site, and I can pick the 1860s house over the 1870s house. So I'm not going to stress myself out by having a whole other time period to sew for. So 1880s. And I know I have an event coming up in March where I'm portraying an officer's wife, so it's a little bit fancier. And that'll basically be the only thing I do for 1880s is fancier stuff. And I don't know what's going to happen by March. I don't know if I'll be pregnant. I don't know if I won't be pregnant. I won't know how far along I am if I am. So, well, I guess we'll see. But the first thing is I have plenty of leftover of this fabric. So we made an 1880s dress, copied from an original in my collection that a friend of a friend gave me. And the skirts will be great for maternity because it basically, it hooks and eyes. So I can just move the hooks and eyes over and, move the skirt over. So it will still expand that way. The bodice, I'm going to do another bodice. I'm just going to do a maternity style. So I recently went to a museum. I believe it's a museum of the Confederacy, or it's the Texas Civil War Museum. In Fort Worth. It's closing down, but they have a wonderful collection of antique women's garments from, I think, the earliest 1850s all the way up through the 1900s, early 1900s. And they have an 1880s maternity dress. And so I was like, I can copy that style and make a bodice for the dress I already own. Just make it a bodice because I have so much extra fabric. So that's the plan for that one. I also am going to make an 1880s wrapper because wrappers are amazing, and you can never have too many wrappers. So I'm going to be using Marna Davis's K housekeeping dress for that. I asked her, she said that there are some early 1880s styles in there that I could pick from. So that's what I'm going to do. The fabric is not in yet, I just purchased it. But it's going to be blue and pink, like pink little flower balls. And then I have like a pink stripe that I can do the trim in. So that'll be nice. Now I have a nice wrapper. And then if I need a really fancy dress, I don't know what officer's wife duties are going to entail in March yet. And if I need a really nice silk gown, we made that 1880s evening gown, the ball gown, on the channel last year. The green silk, and then we trimmed it with burgundy silk. That skirt is super plain. I can still use that skirt. I made it the same style as I made this one. And then I have, and this is already in the plan, I'll just make it maternity, I have a ton of this. This is a sheer silk. It was yellow, and I dyed it pink because I didn't like the yellow. But it's like a plaid. I don't know if you can see the design on there. But I only have 5 yards of this. So I'm going to make a nice little sheer bustle that goes over that pink. That's going to go over that green silk. And then I can make, because I have plenty of that green silk left, I can make a maternity bodice and trim it with this. So I'll have a nice little silk dress if I need it. I don't think I will, but that's plan B, just in case I don't get, this one done or whatever. And that pretty much ends it for the 19th century plan. Let's start with the 20th century. So 19 teens, World War I. I'm going to need a maternity corset. Same basic principle. I'm going to use the exact same pattern I already have, except you take that those center ones and just add lacing there, and we should be good. As far as dresses go, a lot of my modern dresses that I've been wearing that I made for myself are actually an 1916 pattern, and this one I did a more 1940s collar, but I have one that I use a 19 teens collar on, and this is it. So it's a nice cotton linen blend, great fabric for that time period, and then it has the more period correct collar with the rounded collar. And so yeah, this is this. It has a self fabric belt in there, so there's actually a casing for a belt, and I can just tie it, loose or tight. The belt's still in there. Belt's there. It snaps over a mother of pearl belt buckle that I have, and then I can just tighten it and loosen it based on where my belly is. So that'll be a great maternity dress right there. Also, technically, the canteen service dress that we made on the channel for World War I, that could technically be maternity just because there's no shaping in the waist at all. It's just a giant bag and you tighten it with a belt. I'm going to make the same style dress for civilian wear. There's an original that's for sale right now. I haven't bought it, and I don't know if I will or not. But it's my size, actually. That's kind of why I wanted it. So I'll have that as well. I haven't bought the fabric for that, but that's the plan. And then on the channel last month we did that 1916 embroidered dress, and that's a great maternity wear dress because it's just it's the crossover style. So I just move the hooks and eyes, and I can have a bigger stomach there. So that's going to work out great for maternity as well, and that'll be my fancy dress too. For the 20th century, it's a little bit different for me because I tend not to do a lot of it, and so I don't. And most of what I do is day wear, so I don't really necessarily need a lot of dresses. I can have like a spare. So next up will be the late 1920s and early 1930s, like Depression era, Prohibition era. So my first plan, I know it's down here somewhere. I saw it. Unless I put it over there. Well, we have this dress that hasn't actually been made on the channel yet, but I have it done. We copied an original dress in my collection. That video will be coming out in a few months. And yeah, it's the early 1930s style, so I will have that. It's kind of fitted in the hips, so it's going to be a little weird for maternity, but if I hike it up just slightly, it'll work just fine. And that's kind of my backup maternity dress for that time period. So I bought this reproduction print from, I think it's repro from the 1920s and 30s, and I'm going to make a nice little hooverette 1930s house dress with it, which is basically kind of like a tie dress, like a wrapper almost. I thought that'd be really cute with that, long 1930s, neckline with the huge collar and all that. So that'll be in the plans, and that's basically all I need for that time period. I don't do a lot of that time period. Really, the only thing we do that's late 1920s is we have a 1929 Model A, and when we do events with her, we drive around with her. Sometimes we'll wear a period clothes. I do have an original corset. It's not a maternity corset from the 1930s, but it'd be pretty easy to turn it into maternity. Again, if I just slit up these side seams here, it made those lace up. So we're going to copy this exactly, not maternity, in December, I think. And so I'll have one non-maternity one, but I'll also make one. I have plenty of fabric and stuff, as I said. So we'll make a second one that is maternity, which is a little bit more adjustable for maternity. Yeah, so that was kind of 2 videos in one. That was how to plan a wardrobe, very quick and simple, and plans for my maternity wardrobe. So these are projects we can look forward to in the next couple years. Not going to get them done all at once. It's going to be as needed kind of thing. Oh, I have this event coming up. I'll be pregnant. I need to go ahead and get this stuff done for this particular time frame. If I end up pregnant in a few months, Could be interesting because February and March are, I have an 1860s event, and I have an 1830s event, and I have an 1880s event. That's a lot of clothes all at once. So we'll see how that all turns out. Maybe I won't be showing you by then, it will be fine. Otherwise, I'll be doing a lot of sewing in February and March. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me today as we discussed my plans for a historic maternity wardrobe, as well as discussing how I planned out this wardrobe. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Click that little bell notification so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here on Monday.